Hi everyone, welcome to today's session, a demonstration of the IRiS Data Vault automation tool. We're just going to start bringing up our slides. My name is Julien Redmond. I'm the CEO of Ignition Data and IRiS. And with me today, my co-presenter is Alex Lai, who is our product manager. So Ignition Data are the Data Vault training and certification partners in the Southern Hemisphere, based in Australia. And we've developed the IRiS tool over several years. Started off as a full Data Vault platform, but recently has evolved into a very simple automation tool. So we'll step through these slides quite quickly, and we'll get you to have a look at the IRiS tool in action. So there's our details, and they'll be on the slides that accompany the demonstration today. So essentially, I've already said we're Data Vault experts. That's what we do. It's all we do. And so we've designed this tool to try and make Data Vaults accessible and easy for as many users as possible, really focusing as quickly as possible on delivery to the business and value to the business. We've done that by reducing the learning curve that it takes to actually build a Data Vault and make the actual delivery process faster and more consistent and more reliable. So we have a Data Vault automation tool that sits in your cloud environment and connects to your tools. So this is not an end-to-end data platform. It is just an automation tool that augments what you already have. We support that with the IRiS Knowledge Hub, which is online training, playbooks to follow, user guides and tips and tricks. We also support governance. We have a robust way of delivering metadata to governance tools, so that you can get that auditing and reconciliation that you really need out of your warehouse, and a very simplified UI process that actually makes it easy for new users to adopt Data Vault as quickly as possible. So we'll step through to the next slide. One of the key differentiators of IRiS to other Data Vault automation tools is that it's not a platform. So it was designed specifically to add the Data Vault automation capabilities to existing data management platforms. So whether that's the Microsoft Azure stack with Data Factory and Purview and DevOps and what have you, or it's the AWS stack, or other things like Talend or Matillion, or even some legacy ones like Informatica and IBM. Essentially, the code that IRiS produces for you can be picked up and used by whatever data management platform you have, and therefore integration is simple and really non-disruptive. So it's quite a different way to go about it, and we'll work you through how that works as we step through the slides in the demo. So this is a way to think about how IRiS works. So IRiS takes only a few pieces of metadata as input. So we need a bit of information about your source structure, some information around your target vault model and some mapping specifications. And then we produce all the Data Vault artifacts. So all of your DDLs, all of your stored procedures, and we deliver those to your platform that you're already using. And we do some extra niceties, which you'll see some scheduling wrappers that actually help you to deploy your code easily, and those lineage files that I was talking about before. So what we're not is we're not a data modeling tool, and we're not a profiling tool. We're not an ETL tool. We're not a scheduling tool. We're not your warehouse management platform. We expect those things to be in place. Most of our customers will be using the cloud tools that come native with the hyperscalers, and they're really looking to augment that platform with just Data Vault automation. And so that's the bit that we deliver. I will step to the next slide. So one of the key ways that we make IRiS work is actually by being a knowledge resource as well. So with all subscriptions to IRiS, you actually get access to the Knowledge Hub, and that gives you a comprehensive online training program to work through. That's included in the subscription, no additional cost. There's a comprehensive playbook that walks you through building your Data Vault with IRiS and stepping you through all those things that might be a little bit tricky for new users. There's some really handy tips and tricks in the Knowledge Hub as well. Just when you hit those things, common challenges that people see. There's a forum, obviously, if you want to reach out to the community and ask for help, and obviously the access, to later versions. So the Knowledge Hub is a great resource for supporting people using IRiS. Next slide, I think. All right, we are on to your part of the demo, Alex.
Yep, my turn. Awesome. So before we get started and kind of jump in and show everyone how IRiS works, just want to kind of go over a couple of things that I think are quite important to understand and what IRiS kind of really provides for you. So we are obviously going to create some code, and just to give some context to everyone, we've got a model, we've got some data, cars data set, and kind of sits around a sales system and a service system, and your very typical kind of different source systems coming together to build something for you. We're going to take a slice of that today. We'll probably find a link and a couple of hubs and show everyone what that looks like, what IRiS can do for you. But also what I wanted to go through is really how you work with IRiS and what that means for you on a day-to-day kind of basis. So of course, what you need to have your model. And as Jules mentioned earlier, that sits outside of IRiS. You go, you create your model, you work out what your hubs, links, and satellites are going to be based on the source table that you're looking at, for example. And what you do is you take that model and you take the metadata out of that model and you give that metadata to IRiS. IRiS then takes that in and will automatically generate all the DDL and all the stored procs for you, everything that you need. And when I say everything, I quite literally mean it also covers how you generate hashes, hash dips, all the correct load and various create timestamps and so forth. So all the data vault metadata that you need to make sure that your outputs, your vault objects are data vault 2 compliant. And of course, once you have all of that, deploy it to your source system, your target system. We're going to work with Snowflake today. So we'll generate some Snowflake code. You can push that into Snowflake. And what we do is, once you have all of that, you really want to get your data from source all the way through into your hubs and your links and your satellites and so forth. And what we do is we also provide an ingest stored proc. It's like a little orchestration stored procedure that takes everything that you need, orders it correctly, and you can trigger that ingest proc, and it'll take your data from landing, move it through our different layers, and of course all the logic that creates the hash diffs and all of that. It does all that for you, and it'll just populate your hubs, links, and satellites. And then you can go in, check it, do what you need to. And of course, that little bit of code, that ingest stored proc, it's pretty important because that's what you want to orchestrate in your daily workflow. So you can trigger that in your production environment, schedule that as and when you need, and let that load through and do what it needs to daily. But back to your kind of project way of working, that's kind of like one task. That's one piece of work. So what you do is you then move on to your next source table that will have a place in your overall model that will also generate its own hub links and satellites and so forth. And you'll step through the same process and do the same thing again. Why I think this is important is it kind of gives you the ability to look at your work on a task by task basis, gives you some way of estimating your task and therefore how you can plan out your sprint, how you can really be agile in not just delivering a data vault product, but working within a larger project. So that's pretty handy. We'll have a look at that in a little bit. What we also have here is a very quick kind of suggestion on architecture. We've got our source, probably use some sort of a tool if Data Factory is what I've chosen here, but obviously you could use any tool of choice. Ingest your data through that ETL tool and land it into a landing area. We call it landing. And within that, that's basically the starting point of IRiS. You want to tell IRiS, this is a table I have in landing. This is the output that I'm looking for. And this is all done through your metadata that you pass to IRiS. And IRiS will create the load, the staging tables, the data vault tables, the SQL code that drives the data between layers. And it'll do that all for you. Then maybe you have something like a Airflow that you can use to orchestrate your running of the stored procedures and so forth. And then, of course, you generate your IM layer artifacts to push to your visualization tool. And we've got a few of these for different architectural setups, but this is probably a nice, easy one to look at today. So hopefully that makes sense. The exciting part, let's go look at IRiS itself. So let me end that. And
so typically customers would have a modeling tool, Alex, that they're working with, ER Studio or Irwin or...
Absolutely, and you've brought that up just to the right point. So first, let me show everyone IRiS. This is it. This is what you get from us, and this is the front end to it. And if we're just to have a very quick look at it, it's pretty simple and kind of, it's got everything you probably expect out of a normal application. You know, all your status, are you connected, what versions you're using, stuff like that in the middle. You know, on the right down here, how you activate your license, how you get started. On the left, the count of projects. So each time you generate code, it stores that locally as a project for you. So you can always kind of go back to it, or kind of if you need to stop halfway through, save where you're at and kind of go grab a coffee, I guess. Keep yourself, you know, always go back and continue doing what you need to. But here in the settings option, we have our 3 targets: Databricks, Snowflake, which is what we'll look at today, and Synapse, and a few settings that go behind each one of those to help you along. But back to what you said a moment ago, IRiS is the code generation part of your whole Data Vault project. What IRiS isn't is the modeling tool. What we have, and for today's demo, we have ERD Lab. ERD Lab it's open source, it's free online, and because of that, I've just gone away and kind of decided to use it, plot out or design my model, my whole Vault warehouse. Up at the top here, I've got my source tables all in the landing schema, and those source tables populate the red links, the blue hubs, the yellow satellites. And, you know, as you can imagine, this gets bigger and bigger, and you build this out over time. But in terms of IRiS and how we want to use IRiS, we want to take a slice of that. We want to take a single source table, and then from that, you'll have your model, as we just saw, part of a bigger model. You'll take that part of it, and we will go away and use this metadata and produce all the code that you need. So what have we got then? Got a modeling tool. We have IRiS. What we need to do is get the metadata into a format that works with IRiS. And every modeling tool will output data differently and their metadata differently. It's pretty simple in this example. With a little bit of help with ChatGPT, just created a quick Python script that will allow me to take this metadata and dump it into the required IRiS metadata files. So it's pretty simple. You kind of export the SQL code out from ERD Lab from here. Just got a little script that, like I said, I create IRiS mapping files. Go click that, and that will create the 3 source, target, and mapping files that I'm looking for. So let's go look at those really quickly. Let's save. Click in here, and let's just take the target file, open that up, and zoom in a little bit for everyone. But in terms of a target metadata file, what I have here is these are the hubs that I'm looking at creating: customer, service, and registration, the link that gives me the relationship between all of that, and the satellite that hangs off of my link table. And that's it. Pretty simple. Your source to target just maps your source table to this model, and you just got to get all 3 metadata files ready, and then you're good to kind of go. So let me close that down, and that's obviously, it's given us this model here. We've got the metadata files now, and from here, let's go to IRiS, and this is the easy part really. We're going to go start a new project, add new project, and let's give it a name: services system. I like to call my projects by the source table that I'm starting off with. You can use whatever you want, but I find this the kind of clearest way. Like I say, you're working through IRiS on a per source table kind of way to be agile. So first step, give it a nice name, and then what you see here is 4 simple steps. Funnily enough, we have 3 metadata files, so as you can probably guess, 3 of those steps, we're just giving IRiS those files. So step 1, we're going to give the source file. Browse through, this is my source metadata file, import that, done. Step 2, give it the target metadata file. Let's go find that. Great. Let's just go a little bit. At this point, you get a quick graphical view of your target model. And what we can do is, if you need to, is just kind of zoom in a little bit, look at the link. In this example, you can see the hub hash keys that belong there, the link hash key that will generate. Like I said, IRiS does all of this for you. You don't need to worry about any of it. And just get a quick look through, make sure you're happy that your target is what you think it's going to be. And once you're happy, we move on to the next step, step 3. And we import the source to target mapping. Go get that. Import that. And before we move on to the last step, we have one more quick ability to just view what you're doing. As you can see here, we can see my source table. We got these lines to show you how these attributes map to the target link table. Those that are grayed out are the ones that are mapped to this table, and then the ones that are not are mapped to other tables. But it gives you, again, another point to just check that everything's looking right. And of course, you can always go back and amend the metadata files as you need. So at this point, 3 steps, 3 metadata files. I'm just clicking buttons, really. And we moved on to the last bit where we just generate code. At this point, I hit the nice big generate button. I kind of sit back and I watch it tick away. And what you're seeing here is IRiS is just going through the various steps and phases that it needs to get ready, to get the code sorted and give you what you need. Conveniently, where we're stopping at here is a concept that we actually quite like and we found clients really enjoy. We create what we call source on raw views with every model that we generate. What's a source on raw view? Well, it sits in our source on raw view schema, and what it does is it takes your vault tables and it reverse engineers that in a view, joins all your hubs, links, and satellites, and gives you a view over your source table. What that means is, if you can generate a hub and a satellite, let's say, in one direction, you really should be able to generate the same thing back up to your source. And it gives you a really quick way just to check if your model looks right, if what's going in looks like what's going out. And of course, if you had some source data, a couple of records in your source table, you could populate your vault, run your view, and you should really be able to see the exact same view of what you have in your source table, in your source table. And it's a nice way to kind of just test things quickly in your development mode, in your development phase. I also find, and it's actually quite a nice way as well, to give someone who's new to Vault an opportunity to kind of see your source data whilst they're learning how to navigate through Vault. You know, they might just want to look at a table quickly, see what's going on, data scientists or something like that. They find stuff like this quite helpful. And while they learn to navigate and understand how to bring Vault tables together to create what they need, this source and raw view just gives them, okay, let me just look at it quickly while I get my head around what's going on. And it's pretty useful. People like it, and then we're pretty keen and pretty happy with what we've created here. So that's good for us and hopefully good for you too. Now, at this point, code is generated. There's a little tick on the side there. Everything's gone through successfully. There is a open link to generated files. This is just a temporary folder that's created locally when you install IRiS. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up VS Code, and I've already opened up that file in VS Code. And let me just refresh it. And here you can see for the DDL, we have our schemas, our load table. If we go to our stored procs, I've got my stored proc that takes data from my load to my stage table and so forth. And at this point, I'm all set up. What I could do just quickly is hit the run button and deploy this straight to my dev environment. There you go, off I go. I can step through all of these and just do it quickly by hand in my dev environment. Of course, what you can also do is, this is just code. You can add this to your source control, which should hopefully be all plugged into your DevOps environment, and let your CI/CD processes just trigger off and deploy to your other environments as needed. So it can be incredibly automated, but at the same time, give you that flexibility to work locally in your dev environment if you need to. So I've gone through, I've deployed all this code now to my dev environment. Let's switch this up a little bit and let's go to Snowflake. Earlier, we mentioned that there is a wrapper procedure that orchestrates the load of data from landing all the way through to our vault tables. We actually have two of those. We have one that helps create a ghost, what we call the ghost procedure. It adds the ghost records to your target hubs, links, and satellites. And then, you know what? Let's just highlight them both. Let's just kick those off. You can run these as often as you need. Of course, this is what you're scheduling, and what we're doing here, it's just going to go through, check if your target tables has a ghost record or not. If not, it'll go add it. If it does, it won't. And then it'll tick through to our next part, where it now triggers all the correct stored procedures in the correct order in order to take data from landing all the way through to your vault tables. And what does that look like? Let's have a little look at the satellite table here. If I was to run that, there we go. This is a satellite that hangs off a link. We've got a link hash key. We've got some attributes like price and date. And then, of course, all the required data vault attributes like change hash, record source, various other date fields here that, again, it's all done for you. You don't have to worry about it. Don't have to think about it. Just generate your code and it'll do it all for you. And then what I thought I'd quickly also show you is the source and raw view. Remember, now I have my satellites, my hubs, my links all populated, all based off of a single source table and the data that's provided. What I want to do is I'm now going to run my view, and it should give me what my source table should look like. And here you go. This is my source table. It's got my BKCC value, my registration, all the attributes that I need, and the business keys that I'm looking at. And a nice way to quickly just check that, one, it runs, the data looks right, and everything works nicely. So that's kind of the demo in a very quick way. Before we jump back, what I'd really like to do, if that's all right, is just to add to it Airflow. If you are looking at using Airflow, it's pretty much plug and play. Just tell it what store and ingest procs to run in what order. You can really work your magic around this and schedule things really smartly as and when you need it. Quick example of that there. And just a reminder of the reference model here for everyone. Might leave this up here if that's all right, Jules, just so people know and kind of remember what IRiS is. But that's it. Nice and easy.
I would kind of think we should wrap up maybe just by saying, so if you have an environment already, if you have a data modeling tool that you are using, other tools like scheduling and ETL tools, and what you're really looking for is to add data vault automation to that mix, then IRiS is a really good fit for you, especially if you're in the cloud. It's really built for the cloud. Obviously, our target platforms being, the Microsoft tools, Snowflake and Databricks as well. It's designed to really lean into that lake house kind of idea where you're building incrementally. You would have seen that Alex mapped a single source to the model, and that's actually the unit of work that you work on when you're working with IRiS. You do a single source at a time. And that keeps you focused on what's your customer deliverable, what's the value proposition you're delivering to the business, and you're delivering the tables through to your lakehouse, through your vault in that way. We obviously support Business Vault and all of those other more advanced data vault features as well. Exactly the same process if you're building Business Vault tables as if you're building your raw vault tables. So it's really bringing that capability to your existing platform. And obviously, if you are embarking on a new warehouse and you're thinking that you would like to use the full Microsoft stack or the full AWS stack, and you would just like to augment that with some extra automation capability and to make life easier for your data engineers, then IRiS is a great fit, and we'd love to have a chat with you about it. All right, that is all for today. Thank you very much for joining this presentation, and come and see us if you'd like to have a chat.
Thank you.